meeting. Let everybody know. Good morning, everybody. Let's see. Working off of my two screens, trying to get everything organized here. So yeah, as you hopefully heard or seen the little message on your screen that the meeting is being recorded, so we can put this up on the website for those who couldn't make the meeting or looking for information. The first order of business. Actually, I want to start with a quick just round of like who's on the call. So if we could kind of go down, people can unmute quickly and just say who's here, since we're not all able to sit around the table. Anybody can start.
Dina Duholick, the Conservation Foundation and board member for the Lower DuPage.
Nick Gornick, City of Joliet, and also the Vice President of the Lower DuPage Work Group.
Andrew Hawkins, Forest Preserve District, Will County.
Don Kinsler, Village of Shanahan.
Scott Killinger, I'm with Will County Land Use.
Tim Jeskowitz with Strand.
Leah Rodberry with the Conservation Foundation.
Amy Reese, City of Naperville.
Joe Slovnik, City of Naperville.
Brian Anderson, Village of Manuka.
Noriel Noriega, Village of Shorewood.
Lisa McNames, City of Naperville.
Dana Ludwig with Robinson Engineering on behalf of the Village of Romeoville and a couple other communities.
Doug Kissel with the Village of Plainfield.
Cool. I think that is everybody on the list that I can see. Cool. Thank you all. And yeah, part of the reason why we've kind of moved to more of the meeting style versus the webinar style is, you know, if you have questions, please, as we're going along things today, please just unmute yourself and ask or raise your hand. Actually, I don't even know if that's potentially an option. I believe you can, but just go ahead and unmute and ask questions. Trying to make this as informal as we can in the Zoom setting. We were hoping to be in person this time around, but we're just not quite there yet, I think, for everyone's comfort levels. So I don't know, hopefully we'll see how things go for fall. Potentially we might have an in-person meeting in November, but I think we're just gonna have to sort of wait and see on that. So the first order of business will be to approve the minutes. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and, oh wait, Scott, you have a question or are you making your motion? I guess that was my next thing.
Sorry.
That's okay.
The raise hand's under more if anybody can't find it.
Okay, thank you. There are no questions about the minutes. Can I get some motions to approve the minutes as they are?
So Killinger moved.
Ryan and Scott. Okay, cool. So Scott Killinger and Ryan Anderson. Thank you. I'll launch the poll. So click your button. Hit submit. All right, great. Thank you very much. We have 13 out of 14 yeses and 1 abstain. So the minutes will pass as they were submitted. All right. That. All right, so just a little recap from our July meeting. So we are nearly complete with our bioassessment process this year, sampling this year. Most of the sampling, the MBI sampling has been completed. They're going to be coming back towards the end of the month to wrap up a few other sites. And then chemistry should be nearly complete as well, if it's not complete already. We did a little bit of additional sampling upstream of the Hamilwood, or no, actually we ended up postponing this sampling. I forgot to take that off of there. We had discussed doing some sampling upstream of the dam, but when the crews were here doing the main stem sampling, that was sort of in the midst of construction. So this will definitely, we will have an additional site or two upstream of where the dam was in future sampling events. We completed 8 expanded dissolved oxygen sites to support our NIP, our NARP nutrient assessment implementation plan. I just combined both of the two accurate. So nutrient implementation plan is what's actually in our permits, but this is somewhat synonymous with the nutrient assessment and reduction plans that are in other permits. But these expanded DO sites were completed. We put out probes for week-long deployments. While those probes were out, we went out and collected both benthic and chlorophyll A, which is the algae growing on the rocks, as well as the chlorophyll A in the water column, some additional nutrient components, chemistry components. We did a cross section for flow across the segment of stream, as well as DO profiles. And so all of that data will help us to better understand how nutrients are functioning within the streams and support data for our NIP. We also completed 6 fecal coliform sites, particularly within areas that are part of the coliform TMDL, those segments of stream. And I will have all of that data compiled and settled for the MS4 reports that we will do later in the year. The one thing that we have left to do is sediment sampling, which can't start until October 1st. So we'll be out there with staff or interns to do the sediment sampling at a select set of sites. So overall, we've had a good sampling year, able to get everything done that we're hoping to get done. So the excitement for this summer has been the dam removal project at Hamel Woods. We've been talking about this for a really long time. Between getting the feasibility study done several years ago, and then moving into kind of the engineering and design and permitting process, which went on for way too long. But we finally got to the point of actual removal. So here are some pictures of the dam prior to removal. Some nice aerial shot from some drone footage from the Forest Preserve District. And then the Forest Preserve District has done an awesome job of documenting the whole process with tons of pictures and drone footage and video that they compiled as the process went along. But these are kind of pictures from the first shots of the cofferdam setup going and being put into place. The dam was deconstructed in 2 pieces essentially. So, needing to have a dry area to work within. So cofferdam was put up on one side of the river. Water was drained out, and then prior to dam removal, we had another firm come in and do photo documentation of the structure itself, since it's a historic structure that was built by the CCC. We needed to, this was part of the permitting process, needed to do a historic American engineer report, something along those lines. And part of that was photo documentation of the entire structure in the dry. So as they drain things down, excuse me, the consultants got in, did all the photo documentation, and then construction was able to get started. Dina and I happened to be out there just at the right time and got to see some of the first pieces of rock fly as the jackhammer got started here. There was an amazing amount of rock and concrete involved in this dam structure. Interestingly, the what would be, I guess, the right side of this photo here, you see those sort of step pools in there. When the dam was originally constructed, they did attempt at a fish ladder to go around the dam, and this might have worked for larger salmon and such that are found on the east and west coasts, but not so well for our small little fish. A portion of the structure, I think, was actually left in place. The top part of it, because it was really tied into the dam structure itself, was removed. But the parts of that historic structure are left in place. There was a lot of rebar in the bottom or in the concrete portion of the structure. So all of that was tediously removed. The amazing amount of rock involved here. Some other pictures of as they were kind of going through, and actually when they started placing some of the large stone that was put in place. And then you can see on the left side of this picture where water was flowing through the portion that was removed, and then the cofferdam being reassembled for the removal of the remaining east or western half of the dam. And then you can also see kind of in the top part of the picture the approach for the new canoe launch that the Forest Preserve District added on to the project. So overall, the Forest Preserve District running all of the contracting here, working, contracting with the construction firm, and then they added on the component of putting in a new canoe launch as part of the project. So the coalition is paying for the dam removal component. The Forest Preserve District added on that canoe launch. So overall, it's a really nice project in the end. And then here is a picture of the dam removed. You can see some of the rock structure that is put in place. And the canoe launch here at the top section of the photo. I'm talking to Andy this morning. Andy, I don't know if you want to add anything in here, but project is nearly complete. I think overall it was a very successful construction project. We had pretty decent weather through the whole thing. And they're wrapping things up within the next 2 weeks or so. So Andy, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
No, I think you've adequately addressed it. Yeah, next 2 weeks. We just met yesterday, did the punch list. So everything should be wrapped up really quickly here. And the project, as many of you know, came in way under budget. So this is great news.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think we had budgeted around 600,000 based on the feasibility study that was done, and we were well under 500,000, including the kind of construction oversight and things like that. So we'll be getting invoices from the Forest Preserve District, or an invoice from the Forest Preserve District once everything is all wrapped up to reimburse them for all the work that's been done out here, and that's coming out of the special conditions project funds. So yeah, definitely a very successful project. Exciting to see this barrier removed from the river, both for health of the stream, but also really a public safety project in that we had unfortunately lost lives at this dam, and now canoers and kayakers will be able to safely work their way downstream here, and also have that nice new launch space. As I had mentioned, the Forest Preserve District has done a great job with, kind of sharing information with the public. If you go either right to their to the Forest Preserve District's kind of news and events page, or if you check out their YouTube channel, the Buzz series that they have. The first part of this episode is all about the dam. A nice interview with Ralph Schultz from the Forest Preserve District and somebody from the construction company Semper Fi. So this was kind of midway through the project, and I know they're working on another video that's going to recap the whole thing. And so we'll get these things posted to our website as well. I know Leah has been sharing the Forest Preserve posts through the Lower DuPage Facebook page so that people can follow along. Yeah, so like I said, a lot of great footage that we'll be able to share as everything gets wrapped up. But I would definitely encourage folks to go and check out. It's like the first 8 minutes of this episode here. Unfortunately, trying to play a video over Zoom just doesn't work out. Otherwise, I would have played it here in the meeting. But yeah, definitely encourage people to go and check it out because it was definitely a very interesting process. This Porta Dam, Coffer Dam approach was really, I think, a great option for the site. It goes in relatively easily and out relatively easily. And yeah, definitely was interesting to see how all of that was put up and worked on. All right, a couple quick things. We've been talking about permit renewals, and we've been talking more specifically with individual permit holders with the wastewater treatment plants on this. There's been a lot going on with language specifically related to phosphorus removal and the NIP and kind of the things related to the work group participating with the Lower DuPage or Watershed Coalition, and some changes to that language that has been made. And so just making sure that we're getting the right versions of that into the correct permits, because we have a couple of different situations across Lower DuPage and the DRCW. And so really trying to work with permit holders in the IPA to make sure correct language is getting put into place. We are available to help review permits specifically for these sections of the permit to make sure that the correct language was reviewed. I appreciate everybody sending their draft permits in or questions, and definitely want to thank Stephen McCracken with DRCW, who's really been trying to stay in front of kind of how these things are being put into permits and discussions with Illinois EPA. So if you have questions, please contact me or Stephen directly as we kind of work through this and making sure that we're getting as much consistency as possible on this. We're also seeing implementation of language related to the fecal coliform and chloride TMDLs. It's not been consistent at all as to how IPA has been putting these things into permits. So really working with your consultant to make sure these things are carefully reviewed, specifically in relationship to these new items. But Dina had brought up the fact that we're starting to see just odd changes to permits, things that are we're not quite sure why they're making changes to other components of the permits. So these are components that when we're looking at the permits, like I don't know necessarily how your operations go or what things look a little different from last round's permit to this round's permit. So really just sort of the kind of cautionary check through all of your special conditions and make sure that there aren't things, or if there are things that are different from your last round of permit, that you understand why and that you're okay with how those look. Again, if you have specific questions about things related to kind of how the nutrient side is, phosphorus removal in particular, how the coalition is listed in there, the projects and things like that, or things related to the TMDLs, definitely please ask questions and send your draft permits in when you guys get them. We will try to provide as much assistance as we can within these areas. We've been sending out information about the winter de-icing workshops. Again, these are going to be virtual this year. And due to them being virtual, we've actually partnered a little bit more broadly this year with Lake County, because they would normally be doing workshops as well. And since we were going to do them virtually, it kind of doesn't matter where you're located. We've been able to reach out and partner with Lake County, McHenry and King County as well, kind of helping with advertising these, but offering 5 different workshops, 3 public roads ones, 2 parking lots and sidewalks. I've included these flyers in the emails that I've sent out. We're really trying to get the word out, particularly for the parking lots and sidewalks one. It's where we really need help with getting, asking communities to share these with their school districts and park districts and libraries and any other private companies maybe that that you work with or know of within your communities, and really encouraging people to participate. It's a really reasonable cost, and that you pay $45 for a single registration per workshop. So if you want to have staff attend more than one of the dates, then you have to register for each date. But then once you register for that date, the link you get, you can share with all of your employees. So it's not $45 per person who's participating. It's just for the link for the particular date. So really encourage everybody to participate. We really should have participation from all of our member communities, be it in the roads or the parking lots and sidewalks. At least have some, if not all, of your staff participating in these. We're able to bring this at a really low cost through the work groups, all partnering together. And this is a way to help meet some chloride TMDL related requirements, as well as just your MS4 permits. Specify that if there is a work group in your watershed that's working on chloride reduction programs, that you're supposed to be participating in those. So we'd really like to see. I've never had 100% participation from all of our communities, so really kind of striving for that this year, to have participation from all of our communities in one or both of these workshops. And again, please help us get the word out. You can download the flyer specifically for parking lots and sidewalks from the email that I sent out, and to get this out, like I said, definitely to your school districts and park districts, but any private plumbing contractors that you have any contacts with would be greatly appreciated. If there's any questions on that, or if you would like me to just email you the documents directly, just go ahead and let me know. And if you need kind of more information, and if anybody's asking more specifically about what types of things are covered in these workshops, we linked a video on the registration page that the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency put together. And they work also with Fortin Consulting to do all their workshops. So that's Fortin is who's doing these workshops for us. So although these are folks from Minnesota talking about the benefits that they see from participating in these workshops, it is the same workshops that are being put on here. So there's some really nice information in this very short, I think it's a 2.5-minute video. So if you have people who are kind of wondering what all is covered or why they should participate in these, you can point them to the video on the registration page and get some additional information. All right, I am going to bring Leah in on the conversation here. Leah Rodberry from our staff has been working, between Leah and I, working on developing a new website, which we kind of gave you some highlights of at the last meeting, but it's a joint website between Lower DuPage River Watershed Coalition and the Lower Des Plaines Watershed Group. We already do a lot of joint education and outreach materials. We have communities that are in both of the different watersheds. And so there was a lot of reasons, I think, to be able to pull together information all in the same place. So I am going to let Leah go ahead and kind of talk through what we've done and kind of where we're at with this.
Can you see my screen, my mouse and
Yes.
everything?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Yeah, so just going to give a quick overview of our website. So at last meeting, we talked about kind of the main changes that we did, and it's pretty much done. So I'll just show a few pages and then you can check it out later if you'd like. So what's neat about this website is we have this kind of feature header that we can change out based on whatever we want to highlight. With all the stuff happening in Plainfield, we kind of had this about being responsible when you recreate on rivers, but we should put our Salt Smart up here and registration link so people can find that easily. And then the homepage is, offers suggestions about where to direct people to when they first come. But you can find everything in the header right here. So when you're looking for any member resources, you can kind of click this button up here at the top with our name on it, Lower DuPage River Watershed Coalition. That kind of takes you to our little member hub. So it works for both us as members, but also people that want to learn about us, because kind of has an overview about who we are, where we work, and some of what we're doing, as well as like a watershed map. I asked some of you to send pictures of the river or tributaries where you are. So that's really nice to show off some of these pictures. So to see what the river looks like in Shorewood versus Plainfield, I think that's a nice feature.
And we
then,
greatly appreciate you guys submitting pictures. This has been awesome.
Yeah, that's really nice. And so if you're looking for any member information, if you're looking for directing someone to a member application or the due schedule, you can find that here, as well as our minutes are on this page. If you missed it, need minutes, you want to watch the YouTube recording, you can find them here, as well as financial information, our tax returns, stuff like that. And then, so again, if you want to share information with people about what we're doing, this is kind of a good page, kind of our work, that gives an overview of some of the things like the IPS model, the NARP, which are pages we will add to as we get more reports that we can share. Speaking of reports, we have our annual reports also listed in our work. So our annual reports are here. And then I always talk about our outreach materials, and you can find that in a couple places. The easiest might be if you go to our work, and outreach materials are here, but this same menu that you can find is also in our footer. So you can find all those pages here if that's easier to access, as well as the outreach materials link. So this is another page I want to go over because it's different from our last website. So our materials used to be organized by season. Now they're by topic, which we think will be easier. So if you or your communication staff are planning an outreach email or something like that, a newsletter, and you need something on pet waste, you don't have to think about what season that is, because our dogs go to the bathroom year round. So you can just find it by topic, and all our resources, posters, graphics, blog posts, and more are now organized under topics. So yeah, there's everything that we've done so far is listed here. And another new feature of our website is that it is an education resource itself. So we have these two sections, one understanding our watershed and one how you can help. Understanding our watershed is information about what we do as a group in terms of our bioassessment monitoring and things like that, as well as just kind of general education about what is a watershed, what lives in our rivers, why should we care about water quality? What are we looking at when we're doing stream restoration projects? And so that can be really nice to direct people to if they ask questions or just want to learn, what's in our rivers and streams, for example. And then also, in terms of doing outreach or how you can help pages, it's kind of integrates those outreach materials, but into web pages. A good example is if you want to let residents know what they can do at home to protect water quality or conserve stormwater, rainwater. There's information like that. And what's nice is that our blog is updated. All our blog posts are here. And so we link to those blog posts just throughout our website. So if someone's looking about native plants and wants to learn more, often there's a link to like a blog post like that. And so last, just to show you kind of where our blogs are held, up at the top blog. And then you can see all our blog posts. So I think it's just definitely a progress compared to our last website. I think it's a lot clearer, better organized, I think easy to find, any of our member materials. So just click on this button at the top to find any minutes or anything like that. If you are using the website and you see something out of place or you can't find something you want, broken link, anything like that, that's something that I'd like to know so we can make it a super functional website. And we'll be sending out an email with the link. It's ldpwatersheds.org, but then also highlighting some of these things I talked about today, features of the website for you as an overview again, or for anyone that missed this meeting.
And we're hoping, also having the blog posts here is also a way of modeling how the materials that we're creating can be used, or to have a place that if your community doesn't have a blog or, would like to use it, but don't have a specific place on your own website, to be able to direct folks to this website, or, if you do a Facebook post, using one of our Facebook posts, we could also link it to our blog or to the website here as well. So yeah, definitely meant to be a resource in lots of ways. I'll go ahead and share again here. Sorry. Is my web, is this sharing correctly back? Okay, I wasn't sure. I can't see the green bar right now. But yeah, so definitely meant to be a broader resource, both for members, but for the broader public. And within the understanding our watershed, the monitoring page, the pages in there about how we do assessment, there's kind of the general overview of what the biomonitoring program is or what the IPS model is. And then the specifics about where do we monitor in the lower DuPage, that's under the lower DuPage section. And so rather than having kind of the information duplicated on both sets of pages, we went with the stuff that's common is all within that understanding our watershed component or part of the website, but then the stuff that's specific, like where our stations are or our reports, that would be found in the lower DuPage section. So yeah, any suggestions about making things clear or information that you would like to see up here? We're always looking for input. And now I think the other nice thing too about seeing all of the education materials we have by topic versus by season really kind of helps visually to see where maybe we have some gaps. Or so if there are topics that related to water quality in one way or another, that you would like to have information on to be able to share with your residents. That's definitely the kind of input we're always looking for as we continue to build those resources and keep things up to date. So excited to see this finally go live. As far as our original website, the DuPageRivers.org, we're going to keep that address. And now that we have this, I think, ready to be live, Leah's going to make a landing page so that if people go to DuPageRivers.org, it will redirect them to this website here. So they're not worried about people not being able to find it. So yeah, any questions or? So Leah, I had just put up some of our fall stuff. If you want to go ahead and talk about kind of materials and things that we did for fall.
Okay. Yeah, fall, we typically talk about leaf litter. And so we have those, we have our past blog posts as well, all about leaf litter and its relationship to water quality, phosphorus, and how that spikes in the fall, and as leaves are the 56% of the source of phosphorus through the year comes from leaves. So it's a really big deal. And so we have social media posts, blog posts, posters about that topic that you can share to encourage people to manage their leaves in some way. So yeah, some on the side. Our big topic about leaf litter this year was talking about, well, where do leaves go? So if you don't manage them, they can end up in our streets and in our storm drains. But if you do manage them, they can go back, the nutrients in leaves can go back to the soil, or you can use your community pickup program and get them sent to a composting facility. Or in this video that's highlighted, we show an example that some of the leaves collected in Naperville end up at the Conservation Foundation's farm, get incorporated back into the farmland and get turned into vegetables eventually. So that's just a neat way to get people thinking about leaves and how they use their leaves. So you can find that video on our YouTube channel and linked on our website. And so winter, working on our winter materials right now. And just like a preview of that is, we'll definitely talk about the impacts of salt on a broad scale, and then also dive into some details like anti-icing. What are those stripes that you might be seeing on the road? Talking a little bit about the chloride TMDL and how that impacts us. And then we're also hoping to kind of get more on a personal level with some of our public works staff, and who are these people that are working really hard throughout the night sometimes and really long hours to keep our streets safe. So kind of doing some interview videos is kind of what we're thinking with public works staff. Would be really nice to kind of humanize the topic of salt, because sometimes it's hard to connect to salt on the road versus the actual people behind this all. And yeah, like we said with the website, we always want your input. So on our outreach materials as well, if you have ideas for topics for any time of the year, whether that's salt or leaf litter, native plants, anything that relates to water quality, you can let us know, as well as what formats you prefer, if you want more posters or videos that you think, or some people have asked specifically for, graphics that would fit on electronic billboards, anything like that that can be customized for your needs, we want to know about, as well as if you have any pictures and videos, like how some of you sent pictures of the river in your community, but also we're looking for pictures of leaf litter cleanup, as well as snow and ice removal. That really helps us make our materials each season.
Yeah, so definitely this, fall and winter, we're going to really try to make some larger effort both to reach out to you as well as we're happy to come out to you to videotape your operations. Because the challenge is, to be able to have materials developed ahead of time, far enough ahead of time so that they can be incorporated into newsletters and things like that. We finished our fall materials in the middle of July, or August, sorry, the middle of August. So obviously we're not collecting leaves over the summer. So all the pictures and things like that, that we're using for those materials are, from last year or previous years. So as we continue to try to always have new stuff, we need new pictures and videos. And so we're definitely going to be getting out this fall and into winter to try to capture more of that. And just helping people understand how the process works, all the thought and effort that goes into the public works side of things. The obvious challenges between the fact that like the trucks that are used for going out and collecting leaves are the same trucks that are used for doing winter de-icing. So, when we run into issues of there's still leaves on the road and then all of a sudden it snows in, mid-November or late November or something like that, the challenges that poses. And so, just to hope that the more of that information that we can get out to the general public about how this process works, then hopefully that'll eventually give way to some empathy about how this process works and a little bit more, understanding and time, and the people, kind of think through some of the safety options that we're putting out in like particularly for the winter stuff about staying at home, maybe work from home this morning if you can because of the snow event that's out there, or can you wait before you get out, let the plows do their job. And we've been kind of looking for other ideas and kind of ways that other folks are doing it. Iowa DOT does some really great social media and some of the things, with how they've done some interviews with their roads staff, both interviews as well as even just social media posts of like humanizing who those plow drivers are and getting safety tips from the plow drivers. So as we move forward with this, I think what Lee and I discussed was maybe putting together a set of interview questions. Maybe that'll make people a little bit more comfortable to know kind of what we'd be asking ahead of time, but looking to probably do those as soon as communities actually get plows onto trucks, because I think that'd be kind of a nice background for those videos. But we'll definitely be reaching out to folks, or if you have some really outgoing public works staff who you think would be great for this, definitely pass them our way, because we'd love to be able to get out to multiple communities to do this. And for any of the communities that are willing to have their staff interviewed, we could do some custom pieces with like your logo from your community and help you provide something back to you specifically for your community, but then be able to use it more broadly across the watershed. Yeah, and like they said, any other ideas or thoughts, please let us know. Does anybody have any questions on the outreach side of things, comments? All right. And as like we always like to remind you about, if your community has not liked us on Facebook, you guys have an active Facebook page, please do so that our stuff shows up on your pages as well. Share things from our Facebook pages if that's just easier. And then just like we have the YouTube channel for the Will County Watershed, so any of the videos that we have for Lower DuPage, Lower Des Plaines, the Conservation Foundation also has a YouTube channel, and we have our Conservation at Home webinars, which are a really nice resource, particularly around the things that people can do in their own yards that are good for water quality, that are good for wildlife. If you're looking for stuff like that to share with your residents, please do go take a look at this and take a look at the options that are available. That's all I have on my agenda today. Is there anything else that people would like to bring up? Any questions? Concerns? Input? All right. Well, thank you all for attending. And like I said, if we have an opportunity to do an in-person meeting next, for the next meeting in November, we will let folks know about that. I'll just kind of have to see how the world progresses on this and see if we can get back in person. Tim, did you have a question?
I was just going to say thank you for organizing this and keeping this going for us and doing all this work. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everybody, and stay safe, and we'll see you all in November.